Starting to save money early in your life can be the difference between success or failure when it comes to reaching your long-term financial goals. Unfortunately, one of the greatest lies, and you've heard me say this, is the younger you are, the more risk you can take. I'm here to tell you the younger you are, the less risk you have to take. But in this video, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break down and show you in your 20s or 30s, how much money do you need to have saved for retirement? Because let's face it, if you're earning, let's say you get out of college and you're earning $50,000 a year. Well, I understand that you may have this mindset, like if I can get to $1 million of saved income, well, that $1 million is gonna kick out 4% or so that's $40,000 a year of income, and I'll have Social Security, and so I should be good. But I'm gonna show you in this video why that's not the case, and ultimately the different variables that you need to consider for saving for retirement, the things you need to measure, and understanding exactly how much money you need to be saving year in, year out to accomplish your goals, starting as soon as possible. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. That way you're notified every time I launch a new video. Let's get into this. Hey, what's going on, Cashflow hackers? It's Chris with Life 180, and for this video, we're going to be talking about how much money you need saved for retirement starting in your 20s. Now, full transparency, I'm a big believer if you follow what I'm going to talk about and you have your money allocated and positioned properly, you're not going to have to wait till you're 65. You're going to be able to have enough liquid accessible capital. You're going to start investing for cash flow. You're going to do things outside of the box, and you're going to have more control over the results in your life. For this video, I'm going to talk about it from a very basic foundational framework of traditional financial planning to get you I guess a baseline of understanding to be able to start making better decisions and understanding what you can measure, what you need to measure for success, because you can't improve what you can't measure, you can't improve what you don't understand, and that's what this video is all about. I don't care if you're 20, 25, 30, 35, or 40, ultimately at the end of the day. If you are thinking about retirement, if you want to get ahead of the game, if you want to reach financial freedom faster, this is the video for you. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Let's just assume you're a 25-year-old, you want to retire at 65. Let's assume your life expectancy, I'm going to just say 90, because let's face it, medical advancements are going to improve and you're getting healthier. Hopefully you're going to be healthy. I'm going to say your current income at 25 years old is $50,000, coming right out of school, right? And whatever. Actually, you know what? Let's go $40,000 just to be conservative. You're going to save. Let's say you're going to save $5,000 because you're going to implement good habits, and you're going to save more than 10% right out of the gate. You have zero accumulated. In fact, you have debt. So it is what it is. Let's say you're planning, because most people, even though I think this is unrealistic, let's say you're going to accumulate an average of 8%. The 4% rule is going to be implemented in retirement. Inflation. Now we have 3% here, but here's what I want to talk about. We see inflation. Inflation, I always kind of say, is like toothpaste. Once you squeeze it out, you can't get it back in. The Federal Reserve's target rate of inflation is 2%. So the Federal Reserve went off the gold standard, or the US government went off the gold standard, I should say, in 1971. From 1971 to 2022, the average rate of inflation over that time period is 4%. Look at that. The average rate of inflation since then has been double that, because we've had plenty of down years, like in 2020 has been under, 2019, 2015 was low. You could see all there was one negative year, 2009. But aside from that, like inflation, it's really hard for the government to keep inflation at 2%. Now they say that's their goal, but they very seldom hit it. And even when they do, when we have years like this, where we had 8%, that's like the equivalent of 4 years and 1 year, and they're not gonna be able to get that back. We need a negative year of inflation to control that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say we're going with the average rate of inflation since going off the gold standard, just to be safe, right? We're not going to assume anything else. We're not going to assume that you have any inheritance. We're not going to assume any future expenses like weddings or any other master's degrees or anything of that nature, any continuing education. We're not going to assume future assets or anything. We're just going to go like a normal thing. So what you could see here is you got $40,000 income, you're saving $5,000 a year. That means your current lifestyle is $35,000, right? So the question is, how much money do you need? We are going to get right into this. So you can see if you want to retire Remember, we were talking about needing at 8%, you need to have, a lot of people were thinking if I have $1 million, I'll be good. But they don't think about how that pesky little inflation number has an impact, right? Because right now that $35,000 lifestyle that you have at 4% inflation, that number becomes $168,000 by the time you're 65. Now remember, that's not $168,000 in today's number. That $168,000 represents the same value of money that $35,000 represents today. Think about that. Think about how negative inflation is on the economy. And just to think about this, go back, 40 years from now in the early 80s, that just goes to show the equivalent of making $35,000 today. I mean, you can go back then and it was like $12,000 to $15,000, and that's about accurate, right? And so money grows at a faster rate, and you have to understand that inflation compounds the same way that money does. And the longer it goes, the worse this will become, right? Money will compound against us, and it's actually kind of a ticking time bomb in its own right, and it's going to cause a lot of problems in the economy. But you need to make sure you understand this, because it's a variable that comes into play. And so you need to make sure that you have this kind of money and ultimately, saved and set aside, and you can get there. And so the question is, what are you doing? Well, if you're saving, you can see here, if you save that 5% and you have an increase, and you're just saving that $5,000, then, every year, then you're not going to get there, right? Because you're going to have increases of income. You're going to have to start saving more money. If you don't, what's going to happen is you're going to get to 77 years old and you're going to be out of money, right? And I guess at 78, you're ultimately going to be out of money, because you can see here in retirement, the inflation risk in retirement is real too, because you start off needing $168,000 with inflation, but you see by the time you're 75, while you started off with needing $168,000, when you consider inflation and how it has an impact on your purchasing power, you're going to actually need $248,000 to maintain your standard of living. So inflation has a big impact on your money. So the question is, what do you need to do? Well, you can look at it from a bunch of different ways. You can either increase the rate of return, and so let's take a look and see, to live to 90, what kind of rate of return are you going to need to be able to accomplish your goals? This means starting at 25 years old, you're going to need to save that $5,000 a year and earn 10.65%, which is extremely unrealistic. That would get you to $4.368 million, and that will get you to 90 years old, and that still has a little bit of risk with it, right? I'm not including Social Security in this because it is what it is. Like, I don't know that it will be there by then. Oh, I did the wrong thing. So let's say that's not it and it's not working. Let's say, how much more money do you need to save to be able to get to where you want? Well, this is showing if you save $10,000 a year on average. So that could mean that if you save $10,000 a year on average, or $9,561, $797 a month, that you will get to where you need to live and have your money last until you're 90 years old, right? And so what if you say, well, I want to live to 90, I can do the 10,000 a year, essentially, starting at 25. I could do that. I'll live with my parents for the first couple of years until I get really established or whatever, but I want it to last longer. Let's say I want it to last until I'm 100. So the question is, how long am I going to have to work to have my money last till 100? I'm going to have to, instead of working till 65, I'm going to have to work till 70. So these are all variables that you have to go into consideration. And so the big question is if you don't do this, and if you just save that $5,000 and you want it to last till you're 90 years old, how much of a reduction in lifestyle are you going to have to take when you hit retirement? And the answer is a 47.71% reduction in lifestyle. And it's really, really simple. And this is one of the things that I always talk to the people and our clients about with money, is understanding the different variables that go into your retirement strategy, into your savings strategy. And it's not just a matter of chasing the rate of return. It's about, even when you're 25, thinking about that long term, thinking about what the end goal is, thinking about the day that you want to retire, visualizing what you want your retirement to look like, and then reverse engineering a plan to get there. Unless you go through this process and you understand and you really think about what assets are not going to just try to chase returns, but what assets are actually going to help you achieve the results that you're after, then you're probably going to wind up coming up short compared to the goals that you set for yourself. So if you have any questions, I would get back to the person that shared this video with you, or I would go down in the link in the description below. If you just found this on YouTube, click on that link, set up a clarity call, have a conversation with one of my coaches. They can help guide you through this. We have this calculator, we can guide you through, we can help you with all of these answers and have complete clarity about what your needs are for your specific situation so you can start executing that plan as soon as possible. So that's it. I hope you found value in this video. If you did, please like it, share it, get this out. Leave a comment in the comment section below if you have any questions. Once again, if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the bell. That way you're notified every time I launch a new video. Till next time, have a blessed, inspirational day. We'll talk soon. See ya.